Okay, so today I'm going to be interviewing Humphrey. It's not going to be anything too serious today. We're just going to be playing some Overwatch in the background. I'll be having my gameplay muted, of course. Go ahead
Mhm.
and introduce yourself briefly, my friend.
Okay, so I'm Humphrey. People know me as a invite demo player for the team RR. I've led a couple teams throughout time that have been moderately successful. I don't know. I'm known a lot in like lower divs as well because I get into like a lot of mentoring. That's basically it. Oh my god, I don't even know how to play Sigma.
Hmm. You don't know how to play Sigma, you say?
No,
I
I've never queued for tank.
So the first thing you do, you go on YouTube, you search Sigma male grind set, and you just
Oh,
adhere to the rituals they prescribe you. You know, you gotta roid up, you gotta flex. That's all I'm
I,
saying.
I gotta start. I gotta start waking up at 6 a.m. and taking cold showers.
Yes, and you need to like talk down on other people in a very egotistical fashion, you know? So like the average height of TF2 player, I guess.
Yeah, I was about to say
You gotta
something
get
I'm
on the
very
grind.
useful. Yeah, something I'm very used to.
Fair. Okay, so how did you get into TF2 initially, like on a casual level?
Oh, okay. So this is actually a cool story.
Yeah, tell it.
So my friend. Oh, that one does. Okay, okay. So my friend came over, right? I had just built my computer. I was basically just playing like Gary's mod and shit because I saw like Vanos playing it, and then like, oh God, I'm so bad this year. I got to kill it. Okay, so basically, I was playing like Gary's mod. I was playing Binding of Isaac, Minecraft, like all on my pretty shitty computer I had just built. It had like a processor from like 2014. It wasn't the best. And then my friend comes over and he's like, "Yeah, let's play Jailbreak of all things in TF2." So we start playing Jailbreak in TF2, and I was like, "Wow, this is actually like fun as fuck." So I started getting into TF2 literally through Jailbreak. I just started playing like Jailbreak, and
Hmm.
then like yeah,
What
I
class
played
did you main
Jailbreak
for?
for like 300 or 400 hours on this shit. And then I also got a little bit into like those trade servers and stuff. And maybe I played a little bit of casual, but honestly, I wasn't that into like queuing casual. I feel like a lot of people that like start off nowadays aren't big like pubbers because pubs are kind of
Yeah.
shit.
All the bots, the kind of lack of community, you know, people just kind of playing, not really talking. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but
definitely fair. What
yeah.
classes did you start off with an interest in Jailbreak? You know, like what was the meta even? Give me a bit of a
Dude,
rundown.
okay. So Spy was like really good on servers where like they had backstabs enabled, and I got pretty decent at Spy. Like I wasn't like I was no Chlor, I was no Wizard, no AGB, but I was pretty good at Spy. Like as far as like I guess for a pubber. Um, and then I also liked Engineer because in Jailbreak you could do a lot of funny stuff with Engineer, like placing like teleporters in spots and stuff, and like using it to like escape. Um, so yeah, I liked Engineer, I liked Spy, and those were like my two favorite classes. I think for like when I started playing. But then eventually, I was playing. I was literally playing with my friend on MVM, and I just randomly ended up getting a Iron Bomber, like Killstreak Iron Bomber kit.
Oh.
So I just decided I would use it on like an Iron Bomber, and then from there, bro, love at first sight. I just started playing demo because I
And
liked Iron Bomber so much.
what year would this be around?
Oh, like probably late 2017.
No, it's fairly recently, all things considered. Not bad, not
Yeah,
bad. Okay. And did you was there ever a point in time where you started playing the game casually more, just to like build up a flow of time?
oh, okay. So in like early 2018, late 2017 is actually like about when like because I started playing the game in about early 2017, late
Right, right.
2016, and I was playing like mostly Jailbreak, mostly trade servers, and I started playing on this Jump Academy High Tower server eventually, um, with like a couple people that like I still know to this day, like Blank and like some other people like that. I started playing on Jump Academy High Tower,
Ooh.
and that was like basically my pubber experience. Was literally just that server, playing on that server all the time. Um, yeah, and on that server I played a lot of demo, like mostly pipes only because I didn't really like stickies at the time.
Based.
Um, but yeah, And I played a lot of Trollger too. Like that server was like kind of built for Trollger. It was like high tower like for Trollger mains.
We do a little trolling, as it were.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. And did you ever, like, did you get a reputation of sorts on the server? Like, did everybody start knowing who you were at a certain point?
Actually, kinda, yeah.
Nice, nice.
Yeah. I wasn't like a massive namer, but like a lot of like I knew a lot of the admins and stuff like that, and like people who were like super frequent players. Like this one guy, Gamer D Man. I knew Egg. I knew Blank. So other people like that. Like I still remember. A lot of them probably don't play anymore though.
I see. So this server, you know, it had like its own little subcommunity, yeah?
Yeah.
That's nice. Was it something that like had impact on you as a person much at all, or was it just sort of?
I would say yeah. I would say yeah, because I was in high school and like I don't know, like in high school sometimes you don't like know the most people, and I don't know. I would kind of be like up late, especially during summer when like I don't know, like especially during high school, right? I would be staying up late. I always had trouble like sleeping early in my life when I was like a teenager. Well, I'm still a teenager. I'm 19, but you get a picture. And
Yeah.
so I would be staying up late a lot during summer, and I guess I had like company that in that way because I had like all those people to play with on Hightower. Like I would just literally just play like Trollger 1v1s with my friend like all night until like 4 a.m.
That's nice. That's nice. And
Yeah.
is it something that you found like more appealing than just interacting with your peers, sort of, at school?
Not necessarily, but like as far as like I don't know. Let's say I wanted to like meet up with my friend Kyle, right? We
Right.
would probably go like I don't know, play a sport, go to McDonald's. I don't know, just some shit, right? But it would be at like 3 p.m. or something, right? And like I'm operating at like 3 a.m. You know, like I don't have anyone to talk to during those hours, and like TF2 is kind of like gave me people to talk to during those hours,
Yeah, it's
especially
nice.
like later, especially later.
It gives you the opportunity to kind of build your schedule a bit further. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, that's definitely nice to hear. Yeah, just
Uh-huh.
really interesting to hear about the sort of impact it has on people's life. What other ways did it sort of like shape you as a person? Like, did it change how you interacted with people at all? Did it have an influence on anything like that, or not really back then?
Um. Well, back then and even now, like you know how in school they always talk about like leadership skills and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Dead ass, being a team leader in TF2 actually teaches you that shit like very well. Like,
Oh yeah, there's a lot of conflict, you know? You gotta get
yeah,
prepared, I imagine.
yeah. And I was doing that. I was doing that when I was like first getting into comp, like making like my first teams. I was like dealing with that stuff, so I kind of like learned it pretty quickly, I guess. So I guess that's one way it impacted my life. Um, as far as like other ways, I don't know. I mean, I feel like a lot of people might struggle with this, but like trying to balance like playing competitive, which takes up like a lot of time, especially like when you're younger and like you want like your weekends open and stuff, but like you have scrims and stuff like that. Like try like kind of like telling my friends like, "Yo, I gotta be home at this time," and then
Yeah, I
like
got
and
scrims,
then
bro.
yeah. Yeah, and then depending on the friends, I would be like, yeah, my parents just are very strict. Or like another one who'd like get it that like I play like competitive video games. I'd be like, yeah, I have like a scrim for this game. But like a lot of them don't know what TF2 is, you know. So it's like
Yeah.
I literally the only friend I ever had that played TF2 IRL was that one that showed me Jailbreak, and then we weren't even like close friends after like middle school. So it was kind of like difficult explaining the game to a lot of my friends because
Right.
it is like depending on the type of games you like, it's kind of very hard to get into. Oh, that's actually one thing I could talk about like very
Sure.
well. Okay, so the TF2 game devs literally just need to update the HUD, update the menus, and make the game more accessible for new players, and then it'll like the game will grow drastically because you have like one of the best games mechanically of all time. But if I'm being honest, it looks super dated and ugly. And like that's like I feel like a lot of people who click on the game will literally like see the main menu, get confused on how to join like a good server because pubs fucking suck, and they'll just quit. You know?
Oh yeah. first impressions are very important a lot of the time. Like we might
Hmm.
understand and like the mechanics of the TF2 game, like a lot of the depth of it, but then for
Yeah.
newer players, just they might not necessarily get the chance to experience all of that, especially if they never give the game much of a chance in the first place.
Yeah, especially
Um,
because it's free. Like a lot of people are just gonna download it and give it like one shot and then be done with it.
yeah. Why do you think Valve doesn't just give it a little bit of touching up? Like, what would their reasoning to not do so be? Is it just too much effort for them?
Okay, I think it's not really as much of a reason to not do so. It's more of like they just don't have a reason to do so. Like
I see.
I guess TF2, it's kind of like a like they don't really care if it like it's great if it succeeds, but they don't really care if it fails. You know?
Yeah, like CS:GO is their like one of their like their main focus compared to DF2, CS:GO 2. Or like
Yeah, like CS:GO is going crazy right now. They're about to like have Source 2 in that bitch and everything. Like
yeah. Alright. Do you think they'll pull an Overwatch 2 and make Team Fortress 3 and just have it be like almost exactly the same to draw new players in?
give it 2 or 3 years and like I'd say there's like a strong chance, but there's still a chance that they just say fuck TF2 and just don't actually do that. But
Right.
I mean, I feel like odds are once Source 3, like once they kind of work out the kinks with like CS2 and everything, but once they kind of like work out the kinks and everything, I think they actually might just be like, yeah, you know what? How hard is it to adapt this game to Source 2? Let's just go ahead and do it. Just like reskin everything, call it a day.
Yeah, and then just like, change the monetization system a bit,
Hmm. Yeah,
bring out
I
the
mean, think
battle
about it though,
pass.
right? Like most of the people who play TF2, they don't want a whole new game because they've been playing the same game for like 12 years. Like I guess a reskin would kind of do, you know?
Yeah, for sure. It wouldn't take a whole lot with this community, we're pretty self-sufficient. We just need something.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Um, so something that I hear get thrown a lot that I feel like you might have some interesting perspective on is that a lot of people like mask their kind of behavior online, like they'll act like different people. Is that
Hmm.
something that you would ever end up doing or that you'd seen kind of like with the people you'd usually play with or by yourself as like a younger person spending a lot of time on the game at like 4 a.m.? Like, do you think there's any sort of like substance to that, or do you just kind of always act like yourself?
That's a good question. I mean, I guess as of since okay, so around when I had turned about 18, around that time, maybe like a little bit later, I kind of learned the value of like being your authentic self and like how much better it makes you feel. And then before that, I was kind of just very fake in general. So I guess that kind of answers the question. That's kind of interdependent of TF2 though. I would just be like different people to like please different people like
Mhm.
before when I was younger because I was like insecure and shit.
That makes sense, yeah. And that's something that doesn't necessarily require Team Fortress 2, yeah, it's just sort of a
Yeah.
day-to-day thing. Um,
But yeah, I feel like if you are like someone who's like kind of insecure in yourself, then like yeah, you would probably be a different person online. You would probably like be a different person like outside when you talk to your friends, you know, that type of stuff.
yeah, for
But
sure.
like maybe like some of the older people or like people who are I guess more like confident in themselves wouldn't really have that issue.
Do you think
Of
it's
of
something?
course, no disrespect.
Yeah, of course, no disrespect here, just trying to be honest, yeah. Um, do you think it's something that ends up influencing a fair bit of the interaction in the TF2 community? Like,
Oh yeah, for sure.
that makes
Okay,
sense, yeah.
here's one thing that's actually serious that I do want to talk about real quick.
Sure, go ahead.
A lot of the more creepy TF2 players, like the people who like are a bit more toxic, the people who engage in like activities that are like borderline illegal, that type of stuff. I feel like we need to do a way better job at not letting them interact with young, impressionable people online. I think it actually does like terrible things to like their brains when they interact with like certain players.
Oh yeah,
Like
for sure. It just kind of leaves scars on a
I've
person.
literally seen it. Like I've literally seen people that are like 14 and then they're innocent and then like the next year they just like end up talking to like the wrong crowd and then they're like it's like next thing you know they're like fucking like DDoSing people. Like it's like I don't know. It's
Yeah.
pretty sad and I think the like as a community we kind of need try to stop that a little bit more. I mean, there's not a whole lot you could do, but
Well, like, what would your advice be? Like, what would you say to kind of get people to think differently or to try to inspire them to want to see things be different? You know, like.
well, I mean, I just like I just grew up with like a lot of people that I met on this game when I was younger were obviously like around my age, and like there are a lot of people on this game who are like they do just really like need company. They like need people to talk to, maybe even like need like a parental figure. And like if they seek that in like the wrong crowd, especially like online where like you can kind of do whatever you want,
Without
you know, with like
consequence, yeah.
minimal consequences, it could have like big repercussions. It's
Yeah,
just like I
definitely.
don't really know the solution to it, but like it's just something that I wanted to like bring up because it's something that like I've seen a lot and I've talked to like other people, and it's like I feel like it's something like big in TF2 that doesn't really get talked about.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the people who do it obviously don't like to talk about it typically. Uh,
Yeah.
I'd say, like, personally, like, the solution would probably just be to, like, think back to yourself when you were younger in the community, you know, like, would you want to have to go through that? Like, just trying to
hmm
think about it from the perspective of the person you're interacting with, I guess, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, to that end, I think it's more like I think the people who would actually influence them in like bad ways are like almost too far gone in a way. Like there's a lot of people in TF2 that I would just say like they kind of just get banned and then like they just I don't know, it's like they're perma banned and then it's like yeah, they would never like actually improve as like a
Right, and they
person. They
just
would never
make
like be able
ults.
to come back. Yeah. How did I get a? Oh yeah, that's right. The red window.
The
Yeah.
window.
I forgot what I did, but I guess I did this. Yeah.
Yeah, that natural synergy.
Yeah.
Overwatch team. But yeah, that's definitely fair. So when you say like we as a community, like, do you think we don't hold them accountable enough necessarily?
No, I think it's just like I don't know. I feel like there's just like a bit. It's kind of a bit more accepted online to be like 14 and be friends with like a 25-year-old. Like if people saw that like in real life, they would be like they would be like looking at you strange, you know, maybe calling the cops and stuff.
Right.
But like I feel like online, you have these cases a lot where it's like people who are really young talking to people who are like older and maybe like not the most mentally sound. And I feel like I guess the way to combat that would be to like kind of set a better standard for like yeah, you probably shouldn't be talking to kids if you're like this old.
Hmm.
I
I
mean,
see.
like, I don't know. Some people can, obviously, if they're like normal and like, you know, big brother type figure type deal. You know what I'm saying? But like,
Yeah, I guess my question is like, how would you fairly like, estimate that? How would you kind of
oh, I have no
impartially define that?
idea. It's like
That's
fairly
fair.
estimate like yeah who could talk to who. I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Yeah, like it's an interesting idea. It's just something that would be like really difficult for like one individual person to like try and
hmm
evaluate and judge, so maybe that's like more of a community, like something you'd want to see as like a community-wide
Yeah.
discussion, like
Yes. Exactly.
like
Like
have a
more of
thread be
like a
put to good
cultural,
use.
more of a cultural shift than like individual action.
Right. Okay. And what do you think like league services, things that aren't just like the players in the community, like the services the players use, like the organizations, like what could they do to kind of support that shift?
Um, I mean, I think doesn't RGL have like a like age limit for like when you can start playing? If I'm not mistaken, it's like 13.
I can pull that up. See about that in a second.
I used to read the rules a lot when I was younger, with RGL because I would like I was like edgy and I'd like to like borderline break them, but like not break them so I wouldn't get banned. I thought it was really cool, so I like know a lot of the rules.
Uh, don't believe so. Or it may have been a rule in the past, or it might be like more of an unspoken thing.
No, yeah, I'm pretty sure back in the day it used to be like a 13-year-old
I see.
age limit. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Maybe
reason.
maybe just make that like 14 or 15 or something.
Hmm,
You know? Like
damn, goodbye, young sanity.
yeah. Well, I mean like I don't know. Obviously they could still play in like pug servers and shit. And like it'd be like very hard to enforce because it's not like
Hmm.
It's not like you're gonna get a message from your div admin asking for your ID.
Div?
Yeah,
Yeah, div admin's about to roll up into your DMs. Oh god, oh fuck.
yeah, just like I'm gonna need to see some ID on you, young man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
You
like,
must be this old to play.
yeah, I mean, like that's the only thing they could do, though. Like there's not a whole lot.
That's fair. Do you think, like, let's use RGL as an example because you're an RGL player. Like, is RGL doing enough? Like, in your opinion, right now?
Yeah, I mean, there's not really a whole lot they can do, so they're definitely doing enough. I guess that's the
I
easiest
see.
way to put it.
Alright, I don't think there's too much more to inquire in that angle, then I'd say.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you familiar with, like, someone like Galaxy at all?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Do you have any insight on, like, Galaxy, like, what sort of shaped their development within the community? Like, do you think that'd be a relevant part of this discussion at all?
Maybe not this discussion in particular, but I feel like Galaxy, he more just like, I don't know, he does it, like, the stuff that he does and, like, his personality and stuff is shaped, I believe, a lot more around his own entertainment than, like, people believe. Like, he, obviously, like, yeah, duh, the people he hangs out with, like, trolls him, but that's, like, the whole point. I guess he just, like, doesn't mind being the butt of the joke, and he, like, just, like, doesn't mind, like, the attention and, like, that type of stuff,
Right.
Like, I don't think there's anything, like, I feel like people think that Galaxy is, like, some, like, big, some big, like, I don't know, toxic, like, I don't know how to describe it, but they think he's, like, a problem. I don't think he's really a problem at all. Like, which, I don't know, it might be, like, a controversial take, but mostly it's just, like, kind of harmless trolling that he is, like, kind of consenting to, if I'm being honest.
I see.
Yeah,
it's
because,
definitely
like,
fair.
yeah, he's literally friends with the people that troll him. I don't know if people realize that.
So, your opinion would be that it's kind of just more of like an individual problem, like it's kind of something he brings on himself, in a sense?
For sure, yeah.
Alright. And
Like, I genuinely just don't think that he minds it, which is fine. I mean, he's strong.
so, yeah, it's fair. So you'd say, like, I don't know, it just kind of started off that way, like, and he's just sort of allowed it to keep progressing, kind of, yeah?
Yeah, I mean,
Alright.
I guess you could say that. I mean, I would say that, like, a lot of the people that, like, just, like, make their whole, like, thing in the community, like, oh yeah, I hang around Galaxy, I troll Galaxy, I join pugs to go play with Galaxy. Like, I think those people are kind of weird because they're, like, obsessing
Yeah.
over, like, kind of a, like, almost a law cow, you could say. Like, which is, like, I don't know, that's kind of weird, but, like, as far as, like, Galaxy himself, obviously he does kind of, like, enable them, but as long as he's okay with enabling them, there's, like, nothing wrong with that, I guess.
I see. That makes sense, yeah, it's an interesting perspective. What do you think motivates the people who just, like, hang around him for entertainment, who kind of, like, keep trying to egg him on? Like, what drives them, you know?
I guess they think it's, like, well, I mean, obviously they think it's, like, funny, and it's probably just more, like, it's probably more something that they've kind of built their community around, like, their own, like, kind of friend community, and they think it's, I mean, obviously they think it's funny, but, like, I guess, I guess that's the easiest way to explain it. Like, they've kind of built their own, like, little, like, clique around it, and they all just kind of think it's funny, so they, like, get along in that sense.
And
How do I switch things? E.
What
Okay. Yeah.
Overwatch, okay.
Yeah.
And how does it sort of get to that point, though? Like, how do people develop communities like that, you know?
Oh, okay. So, I don't know. Let's say that you're all in a pug, right? And then you
Right.
just, like, notice people, like, in your pug just start saying, like, big game hunt-ish. And then, like, and then, I don't know. Like, naturally, if, like, there's, like, 3 or 4 people in your pug, like, on that, then, like, you're also going to want to be included, and you're going to want to be like, okay, what's going on here? You know?
I see.
And like, kind of join in. I feel like that would be part of it. And then also, it's, like, I mean, and obviously it's probably people that are, like, already friends with each other that kind of just, like, I guess talk to each other about it. I don't know. That's kind of, like, a difficult question.
Yeah, for sure. Not every question is going to really have that good of an answer, really, or an answer in the first place, unless you're, like, just the person doing it.
Yeah, I was just about to say, unless I'm, like, literally just the person that you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And does the desire to kind of, like, fit in and just to, like, be socially accepted kind of just go further than any sense of like morality in a sense?
I don't think it's more so about being like socially accepted, and it's like more about just like you kind of see all these people in your pug like having fun, and you want to just be a part of it.
Right. So
Like, because they aren't gonna judge you if you don't big game hunt Galaxy, but like they are big game hunting Galaxy. They look like they're having a lot of fun, and therefore you're like, huh, I might want to join in on this. You know?
right. Okay. So it's
I mean, obviously, the more like extreme trolling and stuff, like let's say how like Panther like did the thing to like get Galaxy banned or whatever. That's just like more like that goes outside of like what I'm saying. I guess that's more of like a like I don't know. I think that's very strange behavior. And like he shouldn't have done that. But I mean, to be fair, I like I don't know. I guess Galaxy stopped being friends with him over that. So like it's kind of just like a like he took it too far. They kind of like ended up beefing or what have you, and then now they aren't friends. So
right.
I guess it's just kind of as simple as that. Like it's not like he like doxed him or some shit. He just like got him banned on RTL.
It kind of just like comes down to it being normalized then? Like you see everybody else doing it and you'd want to do it. I see.
Yeah.
So would that be an example of like people just kind of acting differently online because there like isn't much consequence or so?
Yeah, I guess you could say that, but some of those people might also like I don't know, let's say their friend group in real life has someone that they like make fun of in class. They're probably the same type of person to make fun of that person in class. You know? Like I don't think they would necessarily act differently online. Like maybe some of them would, but I don't think it's like that's like, the end all.
Right, like it's not like 100%, objectively clear sort of thing. Okay. That's pretty interesting, yeah, thank you. Let's see. So, I think that's enough of the socially oriented questions for now.
Yeah.
Unless you'd have any other, like, angles you'd want to approach it from or take it to.
Nah, I'm not, like, super socially involved in TF2.
It's always just good to, just get people's perspective on it, especially, if you've, like, kind of been younger yourself. Like, if you've been in the community, when you are less mature, per se. That makes sense, yeah. I guess, were those sorts of things like the sort of thing you would do as well back when you were younger in the community, or not really?
I would say kinda. Like, I, like, when I was, okay, so, I like, was big into, like, I still kinda am, like, friends with these people. Like, Family Guy, you would say. Like, they kind of have, like, their own, like, Sixes team, like, I don't know, a bit of a, like, lesser-known clique in the community. Rest in peace, Nervig, by the way. But, basically, like, I was, like, big into that community, and, like, we would kind of, like, I don't know, we'd join pug groups and, like, troll in, like, pugs, but we wouldn't be, like, targeting someone, or, like, and we never did anything, like, nefarious. We were just kind of, like, I don't know, I guess, like, kind of, like, just messing about in, like, a pug group or something. That was, like, all it really came down to.
A little troll.
And I did that a lot more when I was like younger. So I would say like I kind of did go through like a phase where I would like be like an epic troll in like pugs and stuff. But it wasn't anything like some of the people I see doing stuff now. That's a bit
a bit more extreme these days for sure.
Yeah, I would just be like in a Sixes pug and I'd like go heavy because it's funny. Like
damn, that's a little mild.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and someone to get mad about like you playing heavy or something because like they're like really trying to win, and then you'd just be like, like it's not that big of a deal. Like I don't know, just like just like the like basic ass trolling, nothing serious.
Yeah,
but,
mid-level trolling even.
Yeah, okay. I mean, and I feel like a lot of those people, and I guess also to that extent, when I was like more of like a younger like shithead kid, I would like to like I guess I had a like that like disdain for authority, so I would be like messing with the admins a bit too, and like all the servers and stuff like that, like
breaking the rules.
Yeah, which like I mean that stuff is fine, honestly. It's like like when you get into something like this and you're like 13 or 14, like I was, it's just kind of like that's just kind of how it is, I guess.
Right. Just a fact.
And I mean,
of
like,
and
I mean, Sigafu, who was like the admin at the time, was honestly like looking back, like I didn't like him because obviously I didn't. But like he was actually really cool. Like he never like banned me for my antics, and he always was just like he was willing to like I guess listen to me, even though I was like just a like shithead kid. So I guess that was like pretty cool of him.
I guess one final question on that note, then, for the social issues, like, do you think that the sort of cliquey nature of the community, like, competitively, is an issue, or is it just sort of like a fact of life question. In it?
Yeah, great question. So, I think it's a blessing and a curse, because a lot of times, like it, I don't know, cliques can kind of be like a bit inclusive. Like you kind of can't join. Or I guess exclusive would be a better word. Yeah, exclusive.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
You kind of can't join if you aren't like part of like that clique already, and like it's really hard to like get into it, I guess. Alright. Okay. So yeah, it can be hard to join, especially like for a lot of people feel that like they can't get into invite because they aren't part of a clique, even though they are good enough. And I mean, to those people, I say just simply win advanced. But then, like, also to a certain extent, they are kind of right. Because, like, let's say I want a tryout on, like, one of the top 4 invite teams, or, like, even top 5. Like, and I didn't have my 2 seasons of invite experience. Like, I just won advanced. Like, I probably wouldn't be able to get that tryout. Like, and, like, I don't know. That isn't, like, a massive deal. It's just more so of like people are kind of just like they kind of like to stick with the people that they recognize, and there's kind of like sort of like I don't know, they kind of like to stick with people that they recognize and stick with the people that they've been playing with for a while, and they're kind of like a bit more hesitant to accept new people.
Right.
Just as far as I've seen, at least. I mean, obviously there are some people that like do like they're like perfectly fine with like the newer community and stuff like that, but others are more just like I don't know. I've seen some people who like literally will just insult people by being like, "Yeah, you didn't even play UGC," and it's like, "Bitch, I'm better than you," you know?
Yeah. Skill issue on their part, honestly.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, and I guess that is kind of like the more cliquey aspect of TF2 is that like there are people that are genuinely like, yeah, you didn't even play in UGC, like you don't even remember Prolander, like you should just I don't know.
The Prolander days.
Yeah. Like yeah, I guess there's like that, and like but I mean in the ways clicking is a good thing. You can get on teams where you're friends with those people for like literally your entire life. Like and I think that's like a great thing in like TF2 competitive is how you can literally join a team and be like hanging out with the same people like 5 years later, even if you aren't on the same team anymore.
You wouldn't really see that in something like super pro or more established necessarily, where it's
yeah,
just like winning is always the goal.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, winning would definitely be the goal, right? But just like the bonds that like you make through like playing the game together and stuff in this game is kind of like it's kind of just different because like all the teams I've enjoyed playing on are teams where like I've liked all the players that I'm with. I've liked actively improving with them, and like usually I'll like hang out in the Discord even like after scrims are over to just like go do something else and like hang out, or like even like if we're trying to win really hard, we'll like hang out in the Discord like for like hours after scrims, just like reviewing and like getting better. Like and that type of stuff really just like develops bonds in this game that are like hard to break.
It's a lot more like
a good thing.
A lot more homebrew per se than just like having player contracts drafted up and just going to whoever has the most money, I guess.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I could definitely
there's no esports organizations except for I guess Global Clan. I don't even know anything about Global Clan.
Yeah.
Fun fact about Global Clan. I don't know if you know, but I was on the team Global Clan Israel, and
interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's because Maxi's like Israeli, so he named the team Global Clan Israel, and then like Global Clan like complained to RGL about it.
Oh my god!
We had to change the team name.
Robbed. Eyewitness gaming would be another one. I guess, yeah.
Yeah, Witness Gaming. I know Witness. I don't know if
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like an esports thing or not. I don't know the first thing about Witness Gaming. I literally just met Witness
Yeah, they're
because we
kind of
both
esport.
mentored like the same teams.
They do Smash, or at least they had a Smash player at like one point, like so, under their umbrella. So I'd call them esports, yeah, but definitely not that much wider esports investment in TF2.
Yeah. Well, I mean, TF2 doesn't make that much money, which isn't an issue. TF2 won't make more money until like RGL actually decide, or not RGL, fucking Valve decides to like actually increase the player base. You know?
Yeah, yeah. Today, I, as an RGL admin, will release an update that makes Pyro
Yeah,
overpowered.
yeah, yeah. Actually, I don't think Taylor's a very good head admin. He hasn't fixed the bot crisis yet.
True, true. Just throw money at it. Get the bots to go away already.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fair. Okay. Yeah, so I think back to your story for now, though. So we've covered casual. I guess, like, what drove you to get into competitive Team Fortress 2?
Oh, okay. So I have a story for this, obviously.
Sure.
So because I have a story for everything. So
Nice.
when I was like, so I guess I wanted to be really good when cause I like to be good at video games. I don't know why. It's just a thing with me. I like to be good at all the games I play. So like in High Tower, I wanted to be real. I wanted to be great. I wanted to be better than everyone. So I started playing MGE because I figured that was the best way for me to improve. Which, I mean, to be fair, it did actually help me improve a shit ton. I still play MG to this day, and I still believe it's like one of the best ways to practice DM in TF2. So I would grind MGE. I would grind that like literally just pipes only demo. I would literally just hop in and play pipes only demo because I wanted to get better at like pipes on demo, and I'd also play like soldier. So I'd play those two classes, and then eventually, and I was like still a kind of a pubber at it. Like I was just like a complete nooblet, and I like joined Badlands Spire on Demo Man playing pipes only versus someone who I didn't even know. This guy's name was Chicken Buffet. He played UGC Silver sixes. And then
Chicken buffet.
I beat him and he was like, "Oh, you're actually really good. You should like do." He asked what div I play or something, and then I said, "I don't know what you're talking about." And then he tried to get me to join competitive, and then he wanted me to join sixes because obviously like sixes is debatably the better format. And then he was like, and then I ended up joining Highlander because my friend like joined the like steel team, like I guess kind of midway through the season. So I joined the same steel team as my friend in HL, and I started playing HL demo. And he was like, "No, I wanted for you to play sixes," and I was like, "Whatever, I'm gonna just play HL instead. I kind of like it." And then I guess I kind of started it. But I didn't really do very well in that season because I didn't really know what I was doing. Obviously, like when we first started out, but after that, I kept grinding, and then I participated in a couple like random RGL one day cups because they used to have a shit ton back in the day. And so I played in like some Pro Lander ones. I played in like some other experimental map cup, and I would just make these teams like my friends from High Tower and stuff. Like I made it with this guy Happy Spy who I don't even think he like plays anymore. I made it with Blank, Snoodles, my friend Alex would be in there sometimes, like like that stuff. And we would play in like these like map cups and like one day cups. Well, except for like the one day cup I played before I started playing comp, it was actually with some random team with some like brony as like the team leader. But I don't remember a single thing about that guy other than he was a brony. But yeah, so I was in that team, but other than that, it was mostly just friend teams. And then eventually we just decided like, yeah, we're actually doing really well. We should like try to roll open like the next season. And the next season was RGL season 2. And so we made the team or like me and Snoodles, we made the team Humphrey's Daycare. And that's where I got my name, Humphrey. And yeah, we did very well. We didn't win, we got second, but we went 9-1, and the only game we lost was grand finals. So it
Damn.
was yeah, pretty good first RGL season, I guess. And that kind of kick-started my whole like TF2 experience because I was like one of the funnest like things I'd ever done that season. So
I see. And do you like? do you still see like people just randomly getting recruited from casual these days, or do you feel like competitive has kind of gotten like a bit less easy to recruit for? Like, do you think
Hmm.
competitive's a bit more isolated these days, or do you think it's about as good or in a better state than before?
That's a good question. And statistically, it's in a better state
Hmm.
because you look at like sixes, there's like a million fucking newcomer teams. But like, as far as like, do I think like, okay, I think nowadays, I feel like people get recruited more from like YouTubers talking about comp, or like they see it in like some like YouTube videos, or like maybe they'll see someone like wearing a badge like
Right.
in like a server, or like just people talking about it in the community more so than like actual people like in newcomer just being like, yeah, all my friends from Hightower, do you want to go play comp, like how I did back in the day. I don't think you really see that as
Hmm.
much.
And do you think a part of that would just be the state of casual TF2 these days? Make like that makes it maybe a lot harder to like genuinely just connect with random people?
Yeah, yeah, I suppose.
I see.
um Yeah, I mean, I like casual isn't the best right now, but then again, it's not like I like got all my players from casual. I got them from like a high
Right.
tower server that I played on. So I don't know if it's like really a Valve issue necessarily. I think it's more the fact that like I feel like casual players like know about competitive. Like I feel like it's not really a mystery like it used to be. I feel like it's either just you're into it enough to where like you're gonna want to play it, or you just more want to play the game like casually and like you
Hmm.
don't want to play it.
All right. That makes sense, yeah. Uh,
Because I feel like almost like everyone like nowadays they know about Banny, like they know about like I don't know sixes at the very least. So like pubs are at least like in their not pubs casuals like at least like in their head, if or not casual, bro, I'm misspeaking like hell. Okay, but comp is like in their brain if they're a casual player, right? Like they know about it, like they've heard of it, they've seen people play it, like they know the basics of the format, right? Because there literally is an in-game competitive mode, and like, but they probably just don't want to play it because I feel like I've seen like a lot of YouTube videos and stuff like that of people like, oh, I hate competitive TF2. I'd
Dusty
rather play
Jesus.
casual and be a hoovy and like that type of stuff. Which I mean, teach their own. Like, if that's the way you have fun with this game, that's the way you have fun with this game. I played Jailbreak for 500 hours, like you know.
We are not the
But
same.
yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, like not an issue. But I don't think that competitive is necessarily like a secret or anything, or that people don't know about it. Nah.
Right, okay.
I mean, it's definitely different from back in the day when I'm sure people would join competitive from like quick play servers and stuff like that. But I wouldn't be able to tell you about that because I started playing the game in like late
Right.
2016.
So maybe it's just like a bit less personal per se these days because there's less need for it to just be like person to person recruitment. Okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense, yeah. And obviously we have like Discord and whatnot these
Yeah, I was about to say, an
days.
RGO gives you like all the tools you need to get like a team going. You know?
Yeah, yeah. Do you think there's like more of a lack of human connection these days in comp or less with like Discord? Because like for me it's like Discord is obviously easier to like, interact with people on, but then at the same time it feels like a lot of the time you just won't like really be interacting with other people that much. It's like a lot less personal just randomly messaging somebody on Discord compared to like, adding them on Steam, considering them a friend, or like interacting with them outside of a Discord server, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of get what you're saying. So basically, I think that like back in the day, it might have been these are my friends. We're going to start a team and then try to win. And then nowadays, it's more I started a team and I tried to win, and now these are my friends, and we're gonna play a friend team. You know, it kind of
Yeah.
like reversed to where you like meet people by like wanting to win, but you end up just like kind of just maybe just playing like a more casual season, or maybe like those people are more just like your friends that you mess around with now, rather than like they were my friends and like they're still my friends when we play comp. Now it's just like, yeah, I met them playing comp and now they're my friends. You know?
Right, right. So it's just like a bit different than before. Do you
Yeah.
think that there's like do you think it goes any further than that though when it comes to just like the impact it has on the community? Like do you feel like people just kind of know each other less or like really treat each other differently these days due to how easy it is to just hop on a Discord server and just talk for a bit, but then not really go any further than that when it comes to developing connections.
Okay, so speaking from 2017 comp, or not 2017, more like late 2018, early 2019 comp to like, because that's when I started, to like now 2023. I think the community's honestly shifted to be a lot better. Like, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like now I actually feel like open and like newcomer and IM are like a bit less toxic even. And
Mm.
like now, I don't know, I think like advanced and stuff is kind of still similar because it's still like the same players pretty much, like to a certain extent. So that
Right.
hasn't really changed, but I feel like in the lower divs, I feel like the community's actually gotten a lot more friendly.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot kind of more perceived consequence of action, I'd say, like especially if you're trying to like play in pugs and whatnot and be an active
Yeah.
member of the community in the more like open-ended Swiss divisions. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot easier to just find and interact with those people, but then at the same time, I feel like it feels a little less personal,
Mm-hmm.
but ultimately, yeah, it probably does have a good impact, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
RGL is honestly just like improved competitive by like a shit ton, especially like in the recent years. Like, if I'm being honest, like when I was first starting out in RGL, they were kind of tripping, like because they were trying to like do all this extra stuff like without having like okay, so like if you're RGL, I think you would want to get sixes down, and then you would want to get HL down, and then maybe focus on new stuff. But I feel like they didn't really have sixes or HL really down, and they were like worried about no restriction sixes instead of like fixing the
Prolander.
formats that are already or like Prolander instead of like fixing the formats that are like already available. You know,
Right, right.
because like they're I don't know. I would say like the whole like Highlander, like, oh, let's implement Challenger, and then like let's not implement Challenger, like, and then they change how many people are in advance. They change like all that stuff. Like they didn't really have that down for like the longest time. Now I think it's finally in a good spot where advanced is like round robin, invites round robin, and like I still think advanced should have quals to get into it, and it should only be 8 teams because I think advanced needs to be like a bit better in order for like good people to get into invite. And like I wouldn't mind if invite was like less teams if the competition was more fierce, you know.
Hmm. I see. That makes sense. Yeah, have a bit tighter for sure. That could be beneficial.
Yeah, like, but like main, obviously like main and below should be just like anyone who is like anyone who wants to play can play, you know.
Mhm. Yeah, I think like part of it with like how RGL is perceived is that it's not really like one homogeneous entity. Like, of course, over the seasons, like the staff shifts a lot. So
Yeah.
like part of it could also just be to like who is staffing and
Oh no,
just
yeah, that's
that
definitely it. Like
gradual
RGL's not
change.
a person. I'm talking about like the people who are like in charge at the
Right, the people
time.
making
Yeah,
decisions, yeah.
yeah.
But then also to be fair, like it probably like isn't unreasonable to state that like RGL as a whole probably has like gone a bit better on some of these decisions, like collectively, yeah.
Lately, oh for sure. Like, okay, the only thing I would say that I'm like not a big fan of is playing Eruption. But
Oh yeah.
other than that, yeah. But other than that, I've actually liked a lot of what RGL's had going.
Hmm. Do you think like what do you think RGL could like still do better on in your opinion right now? Just like map
Um,
pool?
well, yeah, I think map pool could use some improvement. Here's something that I noticed. I'm gonna get off Overwatch actually.
Alright, sure thing,
But
sure thing.
okay, so I think I think okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, but we had that whole map cup, right? Where we tested out all these maps and like you had invite players like playing them, advanced players playing them, actually like trying to win and like get first place in the cup or like at least like do well, like they were kind of taking it somewhat seriously, right? I feel like they didn't take enough feedback from that map cup, and now that like they're playing experimental pugs and like it's pugs, so people are going to be off classing, They aren't like I mean, yeah, they might try to win a little bit, but it's not as big of a deal as a map cup. I feel like now they're taking all the feedback when it's like pugs, but before when it was a map cup, they weren't really like, yeah, they took like they had maybe like a survey or something, but I don't think like the map that like no one was talking directly with the map designers, like they weren't really taking like very many opinions as far
Right.
as I
And a
remember.
decent bit of the time, it would be like some of the same maps or like older maps just being ran for the sake of it. It felt like, at least from a public
Yeah,
eye.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that, but yeah, okay. That's something I'd say they definitely have improved on a bit in recent times. Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying like yeah, but I was saying like very recently, right? With like now we have like the experimental like pugs where like
Yeah, the
people are
map
like
pub server.
yeah, but like I think like when they had that map cup recently, they should have like probably had like a Discord where like the map cup designers or like maybe even just the admins could have just talked to like the people who like played the map cup and like what did they think about the maps and stuff because they kind of had like they had like a survey, but like a lot of people like I don't think everyone does the surveys and like I don't think the surveys
Oh
are
yeah,
really like
definitely
the
not.
best place to kind of format like an entire opinion on a map. It's more just like
Right.
a like yeah, I had fun. Yeah, maybe this map could be better. Like
I mean,
it's not as in depth.
I'd also like RGL wouldn't obviously be able to do this as a whole, but like there is benefit like just on an individual scale, like every once in a while, just like exploring it with a person, like what like just exploring the aspects that they dislike, kind of giving
Hmm.
alternative perspectives and just fleshing that out together obviously would have
Yeah,
benefit, yeah.
yeah. I feel like if after the map cup they had like one representative from like each team an invite, and then maybe like one representative from like each advanced one team, kind of just talk it out of like what they liked about the map, what they disliked about the map in like the map cup when you're actually trying to like invent a meta and like play the map correctly.
What
It's like
about
in
lower
pugs.
divisions?
Well, I mean, yeah, in lower divisions. Okay, so here's my take on that, right? And like,
Sure.
so this is a bit more controversial, I guess you could say. But like, I feel like the way that competitive works really is that low divisions they can create metas and they can create strats, but usually those strats like aren't applicable in higher divisions. However, when you look at like all the new like metas and strats and stuff that like comes out of competitive, it just starts at the invite level. Like those are the people like kind of creating the new like holds, creating the new metas, and then those strategies kind of trickle down to like the lower divs through like mentorship and like learning and watching like higher div demos. If that makes sense.
Ah, that does,
So
yeah. So, like,
yeah.
would the implication be kind of that, like, a lot of the time with lower divisions, like, the things you can do to get wins are a lot more, like, gimmicky or based off the enemy team's, like,
Yes, yes,
weaknesses,
yes,
kind
yes.
of.
Yeah, 100%. That's it. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, because like I could have like okay, I could have a game-winning strategy in amateur sixes where I'm playing goalie wash. I send my team comes up one spy, and then like they sit in water when we're on last, and then what my team does is we like lose the push on purpose, and then the other team runs into lobby, and then my spy that's in water decloaks and caps the point. And like I'm sure that would work in like amateur, but then when you're playing like IM and they actually like leave a roamer behind, then it stops working.
Right.
And that's just kind of like the difference between like lower div people. Like I mean, and it's like no disrespect to people who don't know like like all the ins and outs of competitive yet, because obviously like I was there too, and if I'm being honest, it can be a lot more fun when like not everyone knows exactly how to play the map to a T. But like to that end, as far as like metas go and like actually how to play the map in like a way that really just works, like invite and like high advanced are like the people to ask about that stuff, you know?
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
So I believe you did mention that you had like a vested interest in mentoring. So if you want to
Oh,
just
for sure.
transition more into like mentoring and give some perspective on it, like go ahead right now.
Okay, so I kind of like have this idea, right, where I swear when I was in Maine was like a lot more like fiercely competitive, and there was like a lot more like there's just kind of like a lot more going on. And same with like even like advanced, like back when I was like coming up, was like a lot more like, I guess, extreme as far as like skill level and stuff like that. A lot more competitive, a lot more fierce competition, people like really trying to win, hitting the dojo, improving, like but now like, okay, so kind of like here's what started me wanting to mentor, like really, like, because before I would mentor one or two people who asked me, but now I mentor like everyone under the sun. And it's basically because I would just see like main teams and advanced teams of just all people just playing off classes and just like not really taking it seriously and just like winning. And I was like, that's kind of disheartening because like you have like advanced teams where it's like half the teams just like people who have already played advanced before and they're off classing. Like most of them aren't even like invite players, and then they're like winning, and it's like, damn. I would rather see a new team come up, learn like how to play the maps correctly, and beat that team of people who are off classing and taking it less seriously. You know, like
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, like that's what I would want to see. It's the same thing with like main. Like you'll see the same thing in like main, where like a lot of times you'll see teams that are winning are teams that like are kind of just like they've already won the div and they just decide that they're gonna like gatekeep people and just like win the div over and over. They like start off classing, start doing all that shit. Like I feel like it's like a very good thing. Like this is kind of how I like pay back the community, is literally just by teaching these newer players how to play the maps. Like I literally just I don't pull any punches or anything. I literally just tell them what we do in invite, and then like they just apply it the best they can, and from what I've seen, they win with it, and it's a good thing, and I like it a lot. I like mentoring a lot.
That's fair. Yeah, it definitely seems like something you have a bit of a passion in. Um, so I guess my main concern with that is that they would just like a decent bit of the time it might just be them like learning it, but then if it's just like what's being done in invite always like I guess they might not necessarily develop that much of an understanding of the why themselves unless you go through with that, although I guess like it's probably something you do.
Yeah, I do.
Alright, that's good then.
I
Then
mean,
yeah, I'd say that's just
sometimes
a good thing.
I mean, I'll dumb it down. Like as far as like explaining, I'd say I'm pretty good at explaining in a pretty like expeditious manner, because like let's say it's like, why do I hold on, let me come up with something. Okay, so why do we hold so far forward on upward side? Let's say that's the question, right? Or like maybe
Right.
they aren't even asking that. Maybe I'm just explaining. I'm like, well, you're playing to your demo's advantage because you're playing at like an area within his radius that's very easy for him to lock down, so that everyone that peeks in that area is taking damage from your demo, which makes them much easier for your sniper to kill. And then your sniper and your demo can swing and peek at the same time to get kills on people that are walking uphill. And like also when you're taking that position and you're using that high ground of like playing on top of the mound of the hill and they have to walk up low ground, it gives you a very easy way to take your Uber and actually force like a really good Uber and force a really bad Uber out of them. And like, you know, just explaining things in that way where it's kind of just like why this works is like, but like kind of just like in a simple way of like, you know, like 2 or 3 reasons like of like why like I think that like, you know, you should hold that way, or like in
Right.
my experience I've seen like this is why holding this way is good. That's usually like all it takes. Like I mean, yeah, I could go into like the in-depth thing of what every single class does and like why like this like stuff is like, I don't know, like why this is more convenient for the tunnel players and stuff like that. But as far as just like a simple explanation, that's what's easiest. Like that's what they're gonna like take home. That's what they're gonna remember in scrims. Like if you go over it too much and you give them too much information, then like the review's not as good, because then like they might just like they might take home like the information that's a bit less relevant and like remember like have that like remember that before they remember the stuff that's like more important. So like I usually like, yeah, I do kind of like go through it a little bit and like kind of mention, like I focus hard on the stuff that's like really important and like exactly like Like I'll just like I don't know, like they do this, and then this is why they do it, and then that's it. Like I don't go super in depth, but I still like explain why. You
Right,
know?
right. And do you like use have a own Discord that you use for anything, or is it mostly usually just on an individual level?
It kind of depends
Hmm.
because I do have like a Discord that when it's like during the season and like I'm mentoring a bunch of like demo players and like team leaders and stuff like that. I have like a scheduling channel that I make them all like ask to like schedule reviews in, so that way I don't have to like flood like go through my DMs every day to check like, oh, do I have a review today with this, that, and the third. Like I just have it all in my Discord channel. Like, but that's only when it's like a lot of like stuff going on. Like usually like right now, I'll literally like I remember I have to do a review for Tax's team and like IM, and that's basically it because they have like grand finals coming up and they're trying to like hone in on how to play like Asheville, Steel, maps like that. So and
Right.
like
Okay.
if it's just that one review, then I can just remember that. But then sometimes it'll be like during the season, and I'll have like a lot of people asking for reviews, and like yeah, I do need the Discord during those times. So
Hmm.
yeah,
All right. Do you see like other mentors doing Discords and just having things organized like that much, or not particularly?
it depends on who it is. I don't like Witness. Okay, so Witness is like So me and Witness met because we ended up mentoring like two of the same teams, basically, because a lot of times teams will have like multiple team mentors because obviously not
Right, right.
everyone can make every day. And me and Witness kind of just ended up, especially with Tax's team. Like I'm saying Tax's team. What's the name of their team? MF Villains. So that team last season when they played amateur, I forgot the name of their team at that point, but yeah, me and Witness were both there throughout the entire season, kind of like giving them advice and like helping them improve. And they went from like a team that was like pretty decent in amateur to like getting second place. So like I guess it like kind of worked out. And they move on to like IM, and they're doing very good this season in IM. They're like I think they're either gonna get second or first, depending on how they do in this. Well, obviously depending on like grand finals. That's what they're really preparing for here. And yeah, me and Witness the entire way have been like helping them through it. And like there are some other teams I've like done some reviews for too that I've been mentoring. Like as far as I've seen, it's mostly just like a person might mentor multiple teams, but it's usually like I think some individual mentors have discords I've seen. I don't remember any off the top of my head, but yeah, it's mostly just people just being in the Discord server, and then they ask like for a review. I'm talking about in their team Discord. They'll
Right.
like ping them and be like,
Basically
"Hey,
on an
review right
individual level,
now,"
yeah.
and then like yeah, they'll join. You know?
Yeah, okay. And do you think there is any benefit to just having like collective mentoring, collective like discords where that sort of knowledge is shared, or not particularly? I guess like an
Okay.
example would be The Office, but that just doesn't get used at all these days, pretty much.
So as far as like group classes, like
Yeah,
I
something
guess
like
is the
that.
way to describe it.
Or
So
just like a place where a lot of material is provided, yeah, even if it's not actively used.
for sure, dude, for sure that stuff is good. I literally yesterday, so this player in I believe they play main, Starly, reached out and asked me to help improve their DM on demo. And so I was like going over like MG and stuff with them. And then I eventually just had this other demo I mentor, Squiddo, join in to kind of like help give like some advice like from his perspective, right? Because he's like another demo I mentored for a while, and he's improved his DM like a lot. Like his DM's probably like advanced level by now, honestly. And so like he was able to weigh in and give some good advice of like what worked for him. I was able to say like what works for me. They were able to play against each other, which is like a lot more of a like even matchup in MGE than like me versus like a main player. So like yeah, I'd say group classes and like stuff like that are like a lot, like they actually help a lot for like the players and stuff, and like just like
Hmm.
getting like advice from like their peers and not just like a mentor, and like
So,
also like yeah.
if there's a lot of benefit to like more collective sort of approach like that, like why do you think that's something you don't really see that much of, like on a wider scale?
Okay, I mean fair enough. It's mostly to do with scheduling, right? Like because most of the time individual reviews, like yeah, if I can have more people participate, then like sure they might. But most of the time, if I'm reviewing like let's say I'm reviewing I don't know, let's say I'm reviewing some like amateur IM player on how they play Swiftwater, and then like the people that could join are like fellow IM players or like main players that like either wouldn't make the same mistakes. Like yeah, like let's say they wouldn't make the same mistakes on Swiftwater, then that review kind of like isn't very beneficial for those people that wouldn't make the same mistakes. Like I think that reviews as far as like over maps and like map knowledge and stuff like that are a lot more like individualistic. But as far as like I don't know, say improving DM, like ammo management, spam, stuff on that front, that's something where the skill ceiling is like theoretically a lot higher, and it's like not like I don't know, mistakes are like obviously a lot more common with like aim and like sticky placement and stuff than like how to hold Swiftwater second. So
Right.
like yeah, I mean group classes for like DM and stuff like that is fine, but as far as like maps and stuff like that, like sometimes like yeah, more people will join in and like they'll learn something, but it's not as common.
Right,
And
there's
also
just
like a bit
a lot of
weirder to
nuance to it.
schedule.
There's just like a fair bit more nuance to it. Yeah, like
Yeah.
okay. So what was like the greatest sort of obstacle you've had as a mentor? Not like player wise, obviously out of respect, but like what was something you've kind of struggled with the most, either like in the past or in the present? Like I guess when it comes to mentoring.
Okay. Sure. So I've seen a couple different things. A lot of times it's ego. Sometimes from the player, but that's a lot more rare. If someone's willing to like ask you for a review, chances are they aren't stuck in their ways or something
Right.
like that, right? But more so, like let's say I'm trying to tell someone I'm mentoring how to push on product, and I'm explaining how you can't just stop your push at rock because then you're just sitting on low ground and taking spam versus a team that's full HP. You have to actually push across the point so that you can create opportunities for your pick classes to actually, do their job. And so I'm explaining that he needs to push across point. If it's just a demo man walking across point, he's just going to get wiped off the face of the earth. That requires his entire team to participate with him. That requires his soldier to bomb, his pyro to walk with him, his med to like keep beam on him, his heavy to like actually go somewhere and take damage and not just like sit on cliff AFK. Like, it requires like the entire team. And so a lot of times what I'll see is I'll be mentoring a demo, and this like ends up discouraging them a lot and causing them to switch classes. This is actually a big issue with the demo man class and why there is a demo man drought in like main and IM right now, maybe even advanced, is because a lot of times demos will just like be main calling and they'll be trying to do something and like make a push work, but because people have like big egos and they would rather see like good logs than like a win, they just don't really pay attention to main calls, or like they'll bait the main calls, or they like will like back out early, that type of stuff. Like they don't want to die for the team.
Right, and that can
They
be
don't want to
something.
like put themselves in a position to potentially die,
Right, and especially if you're not that person's mentor as well, that can be something that's kind of hard to, just like
Mm-hmm.
solve on your own. Yeah, like you might have drawn with other team mentors or other individual mentors if they're telling them differently, and if they have like other mentors, yeah. Okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, it ends up a lot of the time being that I have like this is why I mentor so many teams. I end up literally having to join the team Discord and be like, okay, everyone, this is what you do. This is coming from my mouth, not your demos. But when it does come from your demo's mouth, you'll know that it's me speaking through him like fucking Jesus. Like, like,
Straight
because
out
a
of
lot of
Nazareth.
times, like, yeah, I don't even know why, but a lot of times these people will literally hear their demo say something and be like, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. But then as soon as it's like me who's like played invite, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like, I don't know. I see that a lot. But yeah, I'd say that's the biggest obstacle to mentoring is usually like the people that I mentor, as long as they like actually do the stuff I talk about, then it's literally that easy, because a lot of the times improving in Highlander is kind of like black and white, where it's like, yeah, you just spent 3 minutes like throwing shitty pushes at them instead of organizing a push. That's why you lost on payload. It's usually just easy reasons like that that like aren't too hard to fix. The hard stuff to fix is like, okay, why is your med not beaming you here? Or like, okay, yeah, your pyro should have definitely like denied that sack, or like just like stuff like that, where it's like, I'm not the pyro mentor, I'm not the medic mentor, and so it's a lot more like labored to kind of like get the team on the same page as like the person I'm in, you know?
For sure, for sure. Okay. What would your advice to other mentors or prospecting mentors be?
Um, Make sure. I have no issue with people mentoring while being like a lower div player, as long as they have been mentored by like someone who is good, like very good. Like, let's say that like AGB, who's like, I consider him to be the best spy. Let's say he mentors like a main player from like, let's say he mentors them their IM season, he mentors them their main season, and then they win main using the knowledge that they've learned from AGB. And then they decide, yeah, I think I'm ready to start mentoring newcomer/amateur players. I have no issue with that because they've like learned a bunch of stuff from like reviewing with invite players. They've like applied it in their gameplay, and so they're ready to like, explain to people the knowledge that they've learned. Because in essence, that's all I do. Like, I didn't invent these fucking strats. I learned my shit from Joey Lemons. Like, like I don't mind telling these people, like, yeah, I mean, I get mentored too. Shit, like, I have no issue with that. What I do have issue with is when people like do well in main or something, they like don't really know why they did well. They don't have a mentor like to teach them strats or anything, or like meta, like new hold, stuff like that. They just kind of know what they did to win in lower divs, and so they teach like those like stuff, like that type of stuff that's like not necessarily wrong, but it kind of enforces bad habits, so that when they get to higher divs and they're just still doing the stuff that like their mentor in main told them to do, like, this is why I still see people hold on the porch, like passive hold on like upward second on like that porch instead of going tracks with their sniper, is literally just because of people who probably shouldn't be mentoring because they don't know how the maps are played nowadays, telling like lower div players, yeah, this is where you stand. And like, I think that is kind of like a bit of an issue, and like those people shouldn't be mentoring if they aren't familiar with like how stuff is, like how to play properly nowadays. But other than that, I don't really have an issue with like other people mentoring or anything like that.
I see.
I think it's a great thing. But like, yeah, for sure, if you like, if your map knowledge is outdated by like a whole year, and like you like don't really know like how Highlander is played nowadays, and you can still have advice, but I wouldn't like be sitting here teaching a whole team how to like play a map just for them to play it wrong,
Right.
and then like have to relearn it a whole season.
Right, so it's just like be a bit humble, and if you aren't in like a good position to like speak objectively, just don't about something, like just make sure you include the nuance.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And like even when I'm mentoring, I'm like, yeah, keep in mind this is all stuff that like I've seen work in my experience. I can explain why it worked in my experience, but that doesn't like guarantee that this is what's going to work for you, and that doesn't guarantee that something different you do won't work. Like, that's an important distinction to make,
Yeah, for sure, for sure. You don't want to just tell them that this is 100% the best thing to do always, or else
Yeah.
it just result in misconceptions, yeah.
Yeah. Because if you do the same push on Asheville every single time, eventually the other team is going to figure out how to counter it. I mean, maybe not if they're like a bit like, I don't know, but they probably will eventually.
Yeah, like especially if they have a mentor of their own.
Yeah, exactly. Well said. Yeah. I mean, I kind of had to bite my tongue there because I literally won in advance by doing the same push on Asheville over and over every time I played Asheville, because no one managed to counterplay it. But then, like, yeah, I mean, I'm sure if they had their own mentor, they would too.
Yeah, that's fair. Definitely. a lot of useful stuff to hear, I'd say. Yeah, you should start some YouTube tutorial series, how to TF2, how to
Dude,
Highlander.
yeah. I was thinking about it. I started writing a script on like demo DM because that's like probably my strong suit, and I just never ended up finishing it. But I mean, I have like half of a rough draft basically, so maybe I'll finish it at some point. I
Uh,
mean, I feel like I could just upload my reviews I do for teams, honestly. I feel like
yeah,
I might
I
start doing
definitely
that.
say that'd be a lot of benefit. It kind of like helps halfway bridge the gap. Like when it comes to just having more material out there, it just gives people something to do if they don't have the active ability to schedule, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, very good point, because one thing that I do also see is that people are like, "Oh yeah, we don't need a map review. There's YouTube videos on it," and it's some review from like, I don't know,
2010.
some Dunning Kruger player in like
Yeah, I know what you
2014.
mean.
Yeah,
Like
in
our
like
actual
2014,
RC1
going over
guide
how
over
to
here.
play. Yeah, I was about to say, going
Yeah.
over how to play like fucking like default upward, like they didn't even have the pro map yet, or like visual RC1, like
Oh, yeah, that's another one.
talking about like, yeah, let's forward hold on first. This is where
Oh,
you put the
no.
gun, like yeah, it's
Especially
like
if it's another region and they don't, like, understand all the nuance, even.
yeah.
It's just, like, even more devastating then.
Oh yeah, and if you want to talk about other regions, I feel like that's a good point as well. Is that I feel like not having like NA mentors available for like EU is kind of the reason why like a lot of times their strats are like wildly different than ours, and like they play completely differently. I don't know if you've ever like noticed the difference between EU and
Oh,
NA.
yeah,
I can
I've played in 5 different regions all at once, trust me. I
yeah.
notice things.
Yeah, I played a Prem scrim. I played a Prem scrim on demo on like 130 ping, and I did pretty awful, but my team still won. And it was like just the most like disastrous Highlander I've ever seen. I was like, what is going on here? Because everyone's holding on coal plant and they're like pushing from ramp and stuff. And I felt like I was playing in like season 3
Brother,
again.
I have things even more horrifying than that to show you. Like, I'll have to link you some of my Asian VODs at some point.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's a horror story. I'm sorry to say. The Asian admins I interviewed would probably agree.
Yeah, I actually played with an Asia Fortress player, Cat Whiff. He's from Taiwan. When I won or when I got a third place in advanced, he was the engineer, which was kind of funny because it just kind of goes to show that like if you have a good enough team, as long as the person knows where to place the gun and shit, anyone can play engineer. That's just my theory.
Yes, a game theory.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. I think you said you had like an hour 30, so we should have about like 13, 12 minutes left.
Yep.
Um, I think that should be just enough time to just talk more about your own competitive experience and story, yeah. So,
Oh, dope.
what was kind of like the turning point for you competitively? Like, what brought you from just like stomping lower divs, like getting first place or second place or whatever open, to just being like a more experienced, a wiser, a more understanding player?
Okay, so I feel like there's like a couple events that I'm just gonna mention, just not chronologically.
Sure.
Um, so a lot of time it all has to do with the same thing. So I've always had extremely good DM, not to toot my own horn, but extremely good DM for my division, like just throughout Highlander history. And yet I've always had like pretty terrible game sense, and I was just like a big feeder, especially like back in the day. And I would always like get people on other teams like talking shit, or like maybe even not talking shit, and just like because people will sometimes just genuinely say like, yeah, X team, which would be like my team, is just a DM team. We could just pick Swiftwater and win, or just like shit like that. And like hearing that stuff and like all that, eventually like throughout okay, so here's the real turning point, right? I
Yeah.
played sixes in IM in season 6 of IM. I played demo. I tried my absolute heart out. We only got fourth, but I tried my absolute heart out, and like we were beating a lot of main teams and like even top main teams and scrims and stuff like that. We just kind of sharded in playoffs, but whatever, it is what it is. But throughout that season, I got so much better as far as demo game sense and like survivability, because I feel like everyone who's struggling with a sixes class in HL should just go play sixes for a season, because it's like the fucking gauntlet. It just like makes you like, because if you're out of position in Highlander, it's a lot harder to punish than if you're out of position in sixes.
Right, you have a lot of
extremely easy to punish, you know?
Yeah, you typically have like a ton of cover in Highlander. There's only like, if you respect the sightline, if you're playing with your pyre, there's only like one or two things that can maybe like really threaten you that much at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like especially with pyre, you just have such a wide safety net typically. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that made me like a lot better. Like, okay, so I guess to talk about my competitive history briefly. So after season 2, I played with a lot of the same players in season 3 and got third in main, which like might sound good, right? Third in main on demo, but here's the distinction. I was not main calling, and I was mostly just spamming my pipes at shit. Like, I didn't even really know how to use stickies correctly still. So
Damn.
so I had to literally go back and relearn how to play demo, because I was not even close to like advanced ready where like the rest of the players were about to go. So I had to like go and relearn my shit. So I went and I main called on season 6 of Highlander. And it was season 5. I went and I main called on season 5, and my team got 6. That was a pretty interesting team. I had Galaxy on Pyro.
Oh man.
Yeah, very, very rare, very rare. And then and the season after that was one of my favorite seasons, Risk Global Domination. You were I think you were the admin. Yeah. Or no, or you made a spreadsheet. Yeah, you made a spreadsheet on that season. I like distinctly remember your involvement. But yeah, it's season 6 I played with Risk. And I like main called. My DM was very good. My team was very good. We ended up getting second. And then I felt I was finally ready to move on to advanced. And yeah, I guess it kind of came in like waves of like lessons I learned, like where like in season 2 and season 3 I kind of learned like the very basics of HL. And then in like season 5 and 6 I learned how to main call and like more like strategic side of HL. And then like season 7 and 8 I kind of stagnated and didn't learn shit and just like bottomed out in like advanced. And then I was like, I guess I needed a change in pace. So throughout season 9 of HL, I wasn't really trying that hard. We still got 5th in Challenger at the time, or Advanced 1 as it's called now. But I had that Sixes team that I was like grinding my ass off for. And then when I came back to Highlander, I was like just fucking Banny or something, and like all the scrims I was playing, I was getting like 600 something DPM. All the teams like wanted me to play on their team. And it was like a funny story, right? Because there was like, it was like another demo drought, because this shit always happens, because I swear to God, demo is like the most oppressed class in TF2, competitive or something. Like, so it was like a demo drought again, right? And I'm like, so I have the option of playing on BBL's team, which eventually got second, or the Kaboom Collective, which eventually got 6th. And I chose to play on the Kaboom Collective because, I don't know, they seemed friendly, and I really liked Jack X on Heavy, which is a important footnote there, right?
The lore?
Yeah, important to the lore, right? Because the next season that I played, throughout that season, Maxi, he was back from Israel or something, and he was like deciding to like play competitive again. So he was like subbing in every now and then whenever our NG would miss or like our scout would miss. And then me and Maxi and Jackex decided that we're gonna like try to make a team to win advanced the next season. And it didn't really work out because it was one of those seasons where like Sar and his cronies like off class and advanced, and then like also you had like the like Ginseng and like Gort and like E8, all those people playing advanced. So we ended up getting third, but it was still a really good season. It was really fun. Still like the homie Dope was on Pyro. He hasn't played comp in a while, so that was a good last
Not
season
the band,
for him, I guess.
not the band Dope, right?
Not SB Dope. Just Dope.
Yeah, just for clarity for the viewers.
Yeah, wholesome Dope. So yeah, he was on Pyro. Yeah, so that was cool. And like, yeah, that was a pretty good season. Got third place. And the season after that, we like kind of revamped the roster a little bit. We had a Lei on engineer instead of like a Taiwanese player with 300 ping, which is surprisingly an upgrade. And then
No way.
yeah, and then we had they finally let us have Buko on sniper, which is kind of a game changer. I don't know if you know who that is.
I do, yeah. EU
Yeah,
Prime Sniper, one of the better
yeah,
ones.
yeah. So we had him on sniper in advanced, which is kind of a game changer. And then like, yeah, and then we got Chlor on spy, which I think he played spy in the season before that as well. I can't remember, but Chlor on spy is like he's just a demon. Like he's the only person I've ever seen who just can actually just play DM spy in like top invite. Like it's ridiculous. So like yeah, that was like a really good season, season 12 when we won. And that was probably like my favorite season I've ever played because the amount of improvement we did that season was like absurd. Like we actually went from like probably high advanced, but it's like iffy. Like we'll probably get like third, right, at like the start of the season. By the end of the season, it wasn't even fucking close, dude. Like did you hear anything about it? Like that grand finals?
No, probably not.
All right, yeah. I was about to say I wouldn't take offense if you didn't, because it's just advanced.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, so basically, my team like didn't drop a single round in grand finals. But that's not even like the big part. The big part is the crowning achievement of my entire competitive career. I got 960 DPM on product.
Damn.
And then yeah, I'm never
How'd you
doing
do
that
it?
again. Forward hold.
Addy? Roids?
Nah, forward hold, bro.
Damn, forward hold.
My girlfriend was watching the stream. Like, I don't know. Just yeah, goat performance. And then yeah, just ever since that season, I've been invite because I won advanced. And then yeah, I guess I'll talk about invite now. Invite kind of changes the landscape of HL a little bit because in advanced it feels like you just do a bunch of improving and you can win. In invite, it feels like you need 5 more seasons of improving to like get second. So it's a bit more daunting. I will say that. And then also in invite, the meta is constantly updating, so you have to literally be watching other people's demos a lot, and then also like reviewing on your own team a lot. And keep in mind, for like, okay, usually when it's like playoffs or something, like playoffs in season 12, I grinded the game a lot. Season 11, I hardly played. Season 10, I hardly played. And then the last season, I hardly played. And by hardly played, I mean like 20 hours past 2 weeks or less, where I just kind of like play scrims, play the match, and then like maybe do a little bit of NG on the side. But like, when you're playing in higher divs, it requires a lot more gameplay, a lot more reviewing, like a lot more out of your life, which like, I'm a student, I also work, like I have friends, I have a girlfriend, like I don't have like the most time to like be constantly like involved in invite. So I mean, eventually I'm gonna come back to invite. Like this is already like established. Like this season's like a break season for my team, and then we're gonna come back and like probably with like a different like roster, maybe like revamped, and like try our hardest to like, I don't know, just at least make playoffs. Hopefully get third, hopefully get second. But like, yeah, as far as like I was before, like the last 2 seasons of invite I played, it was literally like it's kind of just like the same old. Like we're gonna beat the same like bottom 2 teams or like bottom 3 teams, and then like we're gonna lose to the same like top 4 teams. So it's just like not fun, you know?
Yeah, definitely might not be the most dynamic division in nature.
Yeah, like as far as like the metagame and stuff, it's very dynamic, but as far as the teams, it's very much the same. I feel like that's the way invite is, right? Which is kind of annoying.
Right. With advanced, it might differ a bit from season to season, you know, who's playing the div and who's not, but unless like a ton of people are taking breaks, like the best players in the game are gonna always be the best players for the most part.
Yeah. It takes a lot just for like it takes a lot just to make these like teams that are like actually just able to contest for first place like even happen. Like takes a lot of string pulling, so to speak.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. That's kind of just all my qualms I've had with like invite, but I don't know. I'll come back to it eventually.
Would you recommend it as a playing experience to other players?
It depends. It really depends. I think you do need to get your invite season in if you've grinded enough to make it to like high advanced and stuff, and like you do want to win advanced and go invite. I say go for it. Have your invite season. It might not go to best. Like you might go Owen like Lay.
Owen.
But yeah, but who knows, man? Maybe you'll get that one win. Maybe you'll even get 2 or 3 like me, and then like move on. I mean, honestly, like if invite isn't for you, like I say, play that first invite season. If it's not for you, then there's no shame in like going and off classing and doing something else. Maybe even taking a break or just like I don't know. Like the game isn't just like for me. The game isn't just invite demo, you know? It's like a lot, like there's a lot more to that.
Right.
Like now I'm playing with Witness in main on Scout. Shit, I've never played Scout in comp before, but honestly, I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm having fun grinding a new class. Like, I mean, maybe next season I won't even play invite. Maybe I'll play advanced Scout and try to win advanced on Scout. That would be cool.
How much are you gonna pay me to get the classes you want in main? Important question. I'm running a bit of a business here, you know. You could consider a donation for the podcast. No, I'm kidding.
All right.
I just had to get the joke out there on recording. I had to.
Yeah. Luckily, me and Witness, who are like both the quintessential mentors, are like the team leaders, so we could probably get like whoever on most roles and just be able to teach them how to play. So as long as me and Witness are there, I think we're good. But I mean, so far the roster is looking very good. So far, I have a lot of like up and comers from IM on there, and a lot of like people who are ready to win main, who are like kind of main players playing on there. So I'm pretty excited for next season.
Sounds like a pretty noble intent compared to the usual, you know, just like 5 restricted players off class and team. Glad to hear it.
Yeah, that was like definitely my intent, because I think like okay. I mean no disrespect, but I totally mean disrespect. Those people are lame as fuck, dude. Like, oh my god, how are you gonna be sitting there in like your like higher division and then just like GG out from it and just like try to just like win a lower division? But like you have to jump through a bunch of hoops in order to do so. It's like, okay, so we're gonna have you on this class. Me, I've never played this class in comp before, but I think I could win on it, so I'm gonna play this. And then it's just like, bro, that's just so that's just like annoying. That's just
comp players like, calculating the perfect way to sandbag.
If you're an advanced player and like then yeah, maybe you can like have like a for fun season and like a lower div, but don't just make it you and all your homies all off classing, all restricted, like going for the W.
There's a lot that lower division players can learn
your own
from
division. Like,
having like higher division players help them.
Like,
yeah,
I don't know. Me and Witness, I literally said like, I'm like, dude, it's gonna be us, and then there's no more invite players, no more advanced players, because I just don't like that. I just don't like that everyone off class and move down a div trends that you see. Like,
especially if you're gonna be mentoring those people too. It's like, yeah.
Yes. Like, I was gonna say, that's literally what I'm trying to prevent with like mentoring. I'm trying to prevent those people from doing that shit because I find it like so annoying. Like yeah, I'm trying to mentor people so that people like if they like they can't even do it because the main players are so good this season, you know? That's what I'm trying to have happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will say main was pretty strong this season. I'm not sure about next season, but it could be pretty exciting to see.
Yeah, I was very impressed this season as far as like all the divisions are honestly coming to play a lot more.
Yeah.
Like and that's something I've been like that's something I've been telling like all the people I've been mentoring is that like yeah, I'm actually like really excited about how much competition I've been seeing in these lower divs, because I swear when it was like season like 10, season 11, like season 9, 8, it was kind of 7. Just like yeah, it was kind of just not the best competition in like main or like advanced and stuff like that. Right. You would kind of just see like one team roll and then the rest of the teams were kind of just a bit clueless and like I don't know, like I would just much rather see teams like all reviewing, all trying to get better and like actually treating it like a competitive game. Like I love Highlander, and I like want it to be like at least somewhat serious, you know?
Right. Okay. Well, I think you said you'd have about an hour 30. It's been 1:34. I do have one
Yeah,
last question
for
before we
sure.
go. Um, Townsy, would you let him cook?
For sure, dude. Come on, get Ian in that bitch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it definitely sounds like, from the sounds of it, like doing all that reviewing, like studying other teams' demos. Like, damn, that's just meta now. That man has been cooking for so long, and he's finally, he's right. He's
Yeah,
cooking
no,
right.
Townsy, yeah, Townsy, like, the way that Townsy, like, wants to play, okay, Townsy is honestly the most driven player to, like, do well in Invite that, like, I've ever seen. Like, he literally, like, is paying teams to scrim his team so he could get
My
the practice
God.
in. Like,
Wait, why would
that
you
is,
have to pay them to scrim?
well, because like let's say you're like I don't know, Squirt Yay, and then like you just don't want to scrim like Townsy's team because they're like maybe annoying, maybe like they show up late, maybe like you would just rather scrim like AD or like Fast Fourth, like a better team, right? Then like you wouldn't want to scrim them. But then Townsy offers the monetary incentive, and then suddenly it's like I don't even gotta win anymore. I just gotta
Yeah,
scrim this team a
I mean,
bunch.
I don't know. That just seems like it might be a bit unfair to like the teams just moving up. Like,
Oh no, it for sure is. I'm like still a little bit salty about it, and that's why I'm mentioning it in this
yeah, that's fair.
podcast. But like, I don't know, like to a certain extent, it's like I've done shit like that in the past. Like I've literally like the unusual I have on demo is literally just because I told someone I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna cut you if you give me an unusual. They gave me an unusual. I
Bro,
have an unusual.
and you didn't cut them.
No, I didn't cut him. I played the entire season out with him. I swear
Nice,
to God,
nice.
like if I had a better player, then we probably would have gotten a bit. We probably would have had like a better placement. But
I mean,
honestly,
shit.
dude,
Free unusual though. Like,
yeah,
damn, that's
exactly.
worth
It's
it.
like, dude,
You're
it's
running a
like.
business.
I mean, and to be fair, I wasn't sitting there like scumbag. Like, yeah, I don't care that you paid. Like, I'm just gonna get rid of you. Like, no, I was like, yeah, it's not really working out. I'm thinking about moving you to sub, maybe getting someone else. Like, and then like I don't know, it just ended up settling that he would get me an unusual in order to play. Like,
Alright.
I wasn't like blackmailing him or something. I don't know if I made it sound like that, but like, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes like stuff like that does happen in Highlander. Historically on the SAR team, by the way, because that's the team that paid people to get roster spots on their team to like get invite medals. But I mean, hey, I
Yeah.
mean, to a certain extent, I can't blame them. They made money,
Man's playing
you know.
Monopoly.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. I mean,
Um.
yeah, sometimes that stuff does happen. Is what I'm
So,
trying to say.
do you have any like big regrets from your competitive career, like decisions you wish you could take back, or like just bad
Hmm.
social experiences?
Yeah. Okay.
Would you
So,
feel comfortable naming it?
yeah, sure. I
All right.
mean, it's no big deal to me.
If
So,
Yeah, if you have like a few
let me
minutes.
just get on my RGL real quick and just like, okay, so I wish I had main called from the start. I wish I tried a lot harder to improve my game sense, and then I would have been probably on invite probably the same season that like I probably would have been on Fridge if that makes sense because I was like around that group of players like a lot. Um, and then like they kind of like improved way faster than me because I had a lot of like roadblocks I had to get over. So I was like stuck in main while they were like getting third in invite. So like yeah, it would have been cool if I had like maybe gotten there quicker and been able to play on like that team or like maybe the dojo or like something like that. I don't know. Maybe like improved a lot quicker because I had like been more driven or like just known what to improve a lot more, right? And that kind of like knowledge of what I need to improve and stuff. It's mostly because I feel like mentoring was a lot less commonplace back when I was like starting out. And now I like kind of offering that opportunity to people to kind of like improve quickly and know what they need to like improve to get to like the next div like early so they don't kind of stagnate for multiple seasons. Like I won't say I wasted time because I feel like that's a misconception that a lot of people have in competitive and TF2 is that oh, if I don't win, if I don't get to this next div, like then I'm worthless. I just wasted all this time. Like they put a lot of like self-worth and like ego and like they worry a lot about like where they are in TF2. At the end of the day, it's just a video game. Like I'm not losing sleep at night because I spent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons in advanced. Like that doesn't make me any less of a person. Like, but if I could have gotten out of advanced quicker, you know what? That would have been cool.
All right, and
I
then
mean, but then to a certain extent, there's like also, and this is more philosophical. This has nothing to do with TF2, but like, if I didn't spend so much time in advance, I wouldn't have met the people on RR and had like such a fun time on that season. I wouldn't have met the people like on Global Clan Israel who are the same people, but I'm just gonna mention them anyways because there were some different people had such fun that season. I wouldn't have met the Kaboom Collective and had fun that season. Like I wouldn't have stuck around on Risk and had fun all those seasons I played with those people, you know. So I'm glad I took the route that I did, but I do still kind of regret that I didn't improve as quickly as I could have. So I guess yeah.
that's fair.
There you go.
And then I guess just one last thing before I let you go. Shoutouts.
Oh, shoutouts. Oh, for sure.
Yeah, like mentees, teams, anything like that. Oh shit.
Wait, am I back? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so my internet went out real quick. I guess.
Understandable.
Okay, so shout out to everyone that I mentor. To name names, shout out Magic Potato, Tax, Widow. Shout out to Magic Gnome. You don't even play demo anymore, but you were fun to mentor. Yeah, those people especially. Shout out Jackman. Hasn't played TF2 in a while, but one of the first people I ever mentored. So you know, still cool. Shout out to everyone who played on RR. Shout out to everyone who played on Humphrey's Daycare, even Snoodles. Shout out to shout out to Family Guy especially. Big group shaped a lot of basically shaped me in the TF2 community in a way, and like you know, just very very good friend group, very good people throughout the years, and yeah. Shout out dope as well.
Ah, of course, of course.
Yeah, and that's basically that's basically
Alright.
it.
I believe you should be good to go then. Yeah.
Yeah. Very fun interview. I do stuff a lot where I just sit in Discords and talk about TF2 for hours, but I figured, you know, this time let's make a YouTube video out of it. You know what I mean? Alright. So I'll see you, dude. No problem.